Everyone. I want to apologize to everyone for a bit of lack of updates because I'm really trying to give it my all to finish that animation for the second channel anniversary on August 25th, and it is taking all of my free time. I'm giving it my all, and I've only finished 36 seconds. I will never say anything against an animator for as long as I live, literally. So today's question comes from Herman Lermansky. He asks, how do I react when people keep repeating that Easter has pagan origins? I know that is plainly false, but I admit that I don't know how to defend my position or how to emotionally handle it. Okay, this is really easy to refute. First of all, in practically all of languages, we'll go by numbers. First of all, as regards to name, in practically all languages, the name of Easter, the feast, is either resurrection or Passover. In Serbian, it's resurrection. In church, in official church publications in English, it's Pascha. In Greek, it is resurrection. In Russian and practically all Slavic languages, it is a resurrection, and so on. The only languages where it's Easter is probably English and Germanic languages, and there's a reason for that, and it's quite simple, because it was because of the month. Venerable Bede, Saint Bede, the Anglo-Saxon monk who lived in 8th century, he said that the feast was called like that where he lived because it fell during the month of Esther, who was, of course, a goddess of spring, renewal, fertility, and everything. And I messed up the letters. And simply because of the popular association of the feast with that month, people simply started to call it Easter. But as you know, Easter is a movable feast. It could have easily fallen out of that specific month, and even now, the feast of Easter was usually celebrated on the spring equinox, and while the spring equinox plays a part in in calculating of the date of Easter, it isn't a major. It has no pagan connotations of like the goddesses and everything. So claiming that Easter has pagan origins is very short-sighted, because you assume that just because your culture calls it Easter, that does not mean that other cultures call it. In fact, your culture calling it Easter is a very minority position. Then there might be some practices that people call, pagan as regards to Easter. We'll start by, Easter Bunny, which is a Western tradition and a very minor one that eventually got developed. Some people tried to associate the rabbit or the hare. I'm not really sure how these animals are different, so you'll apologize my ignorance with that. With Easter, but that was a rabbit or hare was not a holy animal of Easter. It simply wasn't. It was simply a conjecture of 19th century scholars that rabbits breed quickly, and Easter is a goddess of fertility, therefore it must have been her holy animal. Well, there's simply no historical evidence of anything like that, and Saint Bede does not report on it. It is simply like Easter Bunny is simply like Santa Claus. It was something that was told to children, even though Santa Claus has definite Christian origins, while the origins of the Easter Bunny are simply, while it came from Christianity, there's nothing too particularly Christian with it, unlike with the Christmas tree, which is also something that people think that has pagan origins, while the custom itself is purely Christian. Okay, and the last thing that people may accuse Christians of being pagan is the egg cracking or painting the eggs. Why is this done is something that's lost to history, but at least in Orthodox Church there is a relatively, strong tradition that when Saint Mary Magdalene visited the emperor, I think it was Octavian, but don't quote me on that. She was carrying a basket of eggs, and she preached to him about resurrection of Christ, and he told her, "Woman, Christ is risen as much as those eggs in your basket are red." And she immediately took one egg, said Christ is risen, and the egg immediately in her head became blood red. That is why in Christianity eggs are painted red, and even if they're not, as for example in Serbia, where we paint them in all different sorts of colors, the first egg that is dyed is always red. In some church traditions, all of them are red. Some are beautifully painted and everything. So also I would like to emphasize that just because maybe if something had pagan origins does not make it bad per se. Some things simply Christianity recognized as beautiful, as an everyday expression of piety among the people, and the church decided to, so to speak, to baptize that custom because at its heart it wasn't pagan. Technically you can do reverse, because secularism does that with Christian customs all the time, like gift giving on Christmas, and Halloween. Entire Halloween is nothing more than secularized prayer for the dead as seen through Mexican eyes, so along with some other customs. So that's pretty much it. As far as emotionally handling it, sometimes you have to get used to the fact that sometimes people prefer to live in ignorance or parrot what they have heard. I am guilty of that as well. I'm not taking like the position of, we are so better than that. But these are clear-cut things, Okay, fine, accuse us of being pagan, but bring some better evidence to the table, Bye.